Thought we were going to get some peace and quiet this offseason? Forget about it. The front office just kicked the door down. What on earth is Klint Kubiak doing, bringing in a defensive coach to fix our pathetic running game? Is Fernando Mendoza already the face of the franchise before the draft even happens? Or is this just a media trap? And why did our future QB1 just turn his back on the NFL Combine? If you're here to make excuses for the front office, go ahead and click off the video right now. But if you want the raw, unfiltered truth behind the scenes in Vegas, buckle up and smash that like button, because what I'm about to tell you changes everything for the Raiders. Let's get straight to the bombshell of the day, because I gotta confess, I had to read the headline about 3 times to actually believe it. Klint Kubiak just finalized his coaching staff by hiring Mario Jeberaeel as our new offensive run game coordinator. So far, so good. We desperately need help on the ground. But look at the guy's recent resume. He spent the last 2 seasons as a defensive assistant for the Jacksonville Jaguars. You heard that right, coaching outside linebackers. And then you ask me, Ryan, has Kubiak lost his mind, putting a defensive guy in charge of the offense? Hold up. Before you start calling for everybody's head, let's read between the lines. The explosive fact here isn't just flipping sides of the ball. Jeberaeel does have a strong background with the offensive line. Back in 2022, he was with the Atlanta Falcons coaching the O-line. And the kicker, he coached in the trenches at Kansas in college, which is exactly where he and Kubiak worked together back in the day. But what's the real impact of this on our roster? We've got Ashton Gianti, our 2025 first-round pick, who had an abysmal rookie season. Why didn't the kid produce? Because our offensive line looked like a leaky sieve. We had the absolute worst rushing attack in the entire NFL. By bringing in Jeberaeel, Kubiak is making a heavy tactical gamble, putting a guy who spent the last few years dissecting how linebackers and defensive fronts react to build the perfect blocking scheme on the other side. He knows exactly where the defensive holes open up because he was the guy trying to plug those exact holes in Jacksonville. My visceral opinion, it's a masterstroke disguised as pure madness. Kubiak doesn't want to compromise our cap space, blowing a fortune in free agency on overpriced guards and centers. He wants to fix it at the root, with trench technique. Jeberaeel needs to justify this job by turning this O-line into a steamroller and salvaging the investment we made in Gianti. If it doesn't work out, Kubiak just put his own neck on the chopping block. But if it works, my friends, we are going to bulldoze opponents back to the Stone Age. If you thought the shockers ended with our coaching staff, hold on to your seats, because the market is buzzing. The insiders just dropped their post-Super Bowl 3-round mock drafts, and the consensus is absolute, unanimous, almost annoying how certain it is. The Las Vegas Raiders select Fernando Mendoza, quarterback out of Indiana, with the first overall pick. It feels like the free space in the middle of a bingo card, right? Everybody already knows. Kubiak barely stepped foot in the facility, but the marriage between our head coach's system and Mendoza's traits is already seen as a done deal around the league. The issue that is splitting our fan base right down the middle is this. Mendoza isn't an athletic freak. He doesn't have a bionic cannon for an arm like some other guys out there. And so, a portion of the fans are already barking, saying we're wasting the #1 pick. You know what makes me hyped about this guy? His mind. He is a field general. I'm sick of seeing highlight reel quarterbacks get to the NFL, fail to read a basic coverage, and completely choke in the red zone. Mendoza is a true professional. He makes the right reads, protects the football, and plays with high IQ. For a team that has suffered ridiculously from instability at the most important position in sports, we don't need a juggler. We need surgical efficiency. He's walking into a solid situation, with Kubiak building a respectable ground game, like I just mentioned, to take the target off his back. The message here is crystal clear. The front office doesn't want a 3-year project. They want a guy who will walk into the locker room, take charge, and make the gears turn. Having an elite game manager might not sell jerseys on day 1, but it's what secures a playoff spot in December. Now for our radar. There is a bombshell report about our basically confirmed QB1 that a lot of people are letting fly under the radar. But it says everything about what we can expect for the future of this franchise. Fernando Mendoza just announced that he is not going to throw at the NFL Combine at the end of February. That's right. The guy who was the consensus #1 pick is going to fold his arms in Indy. Oh, Ryan, is he scared? Does he think he's an untouchable star? Not at all. The reason that leaked today is spectacular. He chose to throw only at Indiana's Pro Day so he can focus on helping his own college receivers stand out in front of NFL scouts. At the Combine, he'd be throwing to random receivers. At his Pro Day, he's throwing to his boys, putting those kids in the maximum spotlight, since the whole world is going to stop to watch Mendoza. Do you grasp the weight of this? This is franchise owner mentality. The guy knows his draft stock has already hit the ceiling. So, instead of putting on an individual show to massage his own ego, he uses the massive privilege of being the center of attention to boost his teammates who are at risk of not making the league. This isn't just off-season gossip. This is an X-ray into the player's soul. The Raiders' locker room is a meat grinder. We need an alpha dog, a loyal guy, someone that the other players look at and think, I will run through a brick wall for this kid. Mendoza proved, with a simple scheduling decision, that he puts the brotherhood above the individual. His attitude just erased any doubts about his cultural fit to wear the silver and black. To sum up the chaos, Jeberaeel is Kubiak's gamble straight from the defense to transform our rushing nightmare. And Fernando Mendoza is already arriving with the keys to the facility in his pocket, skipping the Combine to elevate his teammates. Now it's on you. And the question is a tough one. With Mendoza locked in, would you rather spend the cap space bulletproofing the offensive line with expensive veterans, or go after an elite free agent wide receiver, whatever the cost, and let Jeberaeel figure out the running game with the guys we already have? Drop down in the comments, because it's going to be an absolute madhouse down there today.